All right, let's dive into a really strange psychological mystery, one that comes from, of all places, the world of children's television. It's a puzzle about what we find truly scary, and trust me, the answer is not what you think.
So let me ask you a question. What sounds scarier to you? A villain who actually plays by a set of rules, or just a bird with a saxophone? It sounds ridiculous, right? But believe it or not, the answer tells us something really deep about the nature of fear itself.
Okay, so let's open the case files. On one side, we've got this guy, the Puzzler, from a show called Numberjacks. And on the other, we have this nameless toucan from In the Night Garden. Now, both of these are from UK Kids TV, but the reactions they get from kids could not be more different. And figuring out why? Well, that's the whole mystery we're unpacking today.
First up, let's look at case file number 1, the Puzzler. In the world of his show, he's what they call a meanie. He is, for all intents and purposes, the official bad guy. So get this. In his very first appearance, this is how he introduces himself. You notice two things right away. One, he always speaks in rhyme. And two, he frames his whole troublemaking thing as like a learning experience. From the second he shows up, you know exactly what his deal is. And his look, I mean, wow. He's this floating CGI head with a totally bizarre nose, kind of like a proboscis monkey, and his hair and beard are literally made of orange bubbles. One fan wiki even calls him a neckbeard. It's a very strange, very deliberately villainous design.
So what does this guy actually do? Well, he has a very clear routine. He rhymes, he blows these bubbles that cause all sorts of problems, and he traps the good guys, the Numberjacks, inside these huge puzzle bubbles. But here's the key. He doesn't just leave them there. He gives them challenges, puzzles they can actually solve to get out.
And this is the most important part. Even though he's the villain, he follows the rules. The fan wiki actually calls him the nicest meanie, because as soon as his puzzle gets solved, he's done. He stops causing trouble. He makes a deal, and he sticks to it. His threat has boundaries, you know? You know exactly what you're getting with him.
Okay, so keep all that predictability in mind as we open our second case file. This is the toucan, and you're going to see its file is a lot shorter, but somehow way more unsettling.
First, you gotta understand the context here. The toucan shows up in a show called In the Night Garden. This show was made by one of the people who created Teletubbies, and it's famous for being super gentle, really surreal, almost like a dream. It's supposed to be a completely calm and safe space.
So what's the toucan's role in this gentle world? It's incredibly simple. It's one of a group of CGI birds called the Tittifers. It just shows up, plays this weird little instrument, and its song means it's bedtime for everyone else in the garden. That's it. That is its entire purpose. It's just a background detail. So, harmless, right? A simple background character? Well, here's the thing. According to the Childhood Traumatizedpedia, and yes, that is a real fan wiki, kids are genuinely terrified of this bird. It's described as unsettling and is the source of actual nightmares. This passive, simple little character is freaking its audience out.
And there it is. That's our paradox. We have a villain with rules who isn't really scary, and we have a passive background bird that gives kids nightmares. So now, it's time to put the pieces together and figure this whole thing out.
When you put them side by side, the core difference just becomes so obvious. The Puzzler is all about rules. He's predictable. You could even say he represents antagonistic order. But the toucan, it's unpredictable. It's uncanny. It's not a challenge. It's just pure, unexplained chaos. And that brings us to the heart of it, the core idea here. A threat that you can understand, a problem that you know you can solve, is just fundamentally less scary than something that is simply there, with no reason, no context, no explanation at all.
You know, this whole thing isn't just some weird trivia about old kid shows. This paradox gives us a really powerful insight into what makes us tick, what we actually find scary, and why sometimes being weird is so much scarier than just being mean.
So let's just break down the Puzzler's whole process one more time. It's a clear, straightforward path. He gives you a challenge. That challenge has rules, and if you solve it, the threat goes away. It's what you could call structured antagonism. You know what you're up against, and you know how to win.
Now, compare that to the toucan. Totally different story. It just appears. Out of nowhere, it does one weird thing, and then it's gone. No explanation, no interaction. You have no idea why it's there or what it wants. That is unsettling ambiguity. And our brains are basically wired to find that way, way more terrifying. So it really seems like the scariest villains aren't always the ones who announce they're evil. Sometimes they're the ones that just don't make any sense. And that kind of leaves me with one last thought for you. Who is that seemingly friendly character from your childhood that was your own personal toucan?